Section 4.2 is titled Multiplying Matrices. In this section, we're going to look at one thing and one thing only, and that is how do we find the product of two matrices. Alright, multiplying matrices can only be done if the two matrices are of this form. In order to multiply two matrices together, matrix A and matrix B, with these respective dimensions, what has to happen is the inner dimensions must match. Okay? If these do not match, that is the number of columns here and the number of rows on this one, if those numbers are not the same number, you cannot multiply matrices together. It doesn't work. Okay? If we are allowed to do this, then matrix AB is going to have dimensions M by R. The answer that you get, the result from multiplying, is going to be these dimensions, the outer dimensions. Okay, so again, the inner dimensions have to match. The outer dimensions will be the size of the result. It's a very different thing than adding and subtracting, where they have to be the same dimensions and you get the same dimensional answer. These can be different on each of these and different size even still on the answer. Let's do a few examples to illustrate this, how we do it. Example 1, we have on the left side a 2 by 2, and on the right side we have a 2 by 2. So we're checking these numbers to see if they match. If they match, and they do match in this instance, then we take those out, and our answer is going to have 2 rows and 2 columns. Okay? So let's set up a matrix that has 2 rows and 2 columns for our answer. Okay, so 2 rows, 2 columns. Alright. Now, I'm going to, for the purpose of this particular problem, maybe the first couple that we do, I'm going to add some extra annotations that I maybe wouldn't normally add to the problem, just to kind of help us see where everything is coming from. I'm going to add here that this is where row 1 is, this is where row 2 is, this is where column 1, and this is where column 2 are. Okay, I think we probably know that. And over here in our problem, okay, I'm going to circle up some numbers in a very specific way. I circled rows. I'm keeping rows. I crossed out columns. So what I'm going to do is circle my 2 rows. I can label it row 1, row 2. And over here I'll do the exact opposite. I crossed out rows and I circled columns. So let's circle columns like that. And let's even label it column 1, column 2. Alright. To find the number that goes in our answer at row 1, column 1, this first number right here, I have to use row 1 and column 1. Row 1 and column 1 of these respective matrices. So row 1, column 1. The way I do it is I multiply the first numbers together in each respective row and column. 2 times 4 makes 8. And I add to that the product of the second numbers within each row and column. 5 times 6 is 30. I add those together, and the first number up here is 38. Okay. Now let's stay in row 1 and let me multiply it to column 2. So row 1, column 2. So that's the first row, second column. I start by taking the first number of each and I multiply those together. It's -6. And I take the second numbers and multiply together. Those are -10. That's -16. Okay, next I'm going to jump down to row 2. I'm going to do column 1, so this number right here. I'm going to use row 2 now and pair with column 1. So the first numbers multiply together to give -4. Second numbers multiply together to give 18. I add together, I get 14. And finally I'm going to do row 2, column 2. So the first numbers together give 3. Second numbers together give -6. That's -3. There's our product. Okay. Next example, I again begin by checking the size of the matrices. This matrix is a 2 by 3. This one is a 3 by 1. If these numbers are the same, then we can do the product. And these numbers are the same. So we cross those out. Our answer is going to be a 2 by 1 matrix. Okay, so our answer here is going to have 2 rows, 1 column. And again, if you want the extra annotations, then add those in there. Row 1, row 2, column 1. So here I'm circling rows. And I'm going to use it with the column, the 1 column that I have. Alright, I will begin by doing row 1 times column 1. So that's row 1 times column 1. And I take the first numbers together. 2 times 4, 8, plus the next numbers together, the ones in the middle, -27, plus the last numbers together, so -8, those add to give -27. Now I'm going to do row 2, column 1. Sorry, well, column 1 still is only 1 column. So I go first times first is 12. Second times second is 6. Third number times third number is 2. I'm going to add those together and get 20. There's my answer. Example number 3. Begin by checking the size. I've got a 1 by 2 and I've got a 2 by 4. These numbers match. If those numbers match, then we can cross out the middle inner dimensions. Our answer is going to have 1 row and 4 columns. 1 row, enough for 4 columns. Okay. Now I circle them up in such a way that we're going to use this 1 row with each of these 4 columns. Okay. So this row with the first column, I'll just do the scratch work just out here in space. The first times the first is -21. Second times the second is 18. Those add to -3. That's the first number. Now I want the row times the second column. -7 times 0 is 0. Plus 6 times 2 is 12. That becomes 12. That's the second number. Okay, now this row times the third column. -7 and 5 are -35. 6 and 0 are 0, so that's -35. And now I need my row times the last column. -7 and -8 are 56. 6 and 4 are 24. Those add to give 80. There's my product. One more. This one you can try on your own. If you'd like to hit pause and work by yourself, then just resume play when you're ready to watch me work out the problem. I begin by checking size. We have a 2 by 2 and a 2 by 3. Those numbers match. So we take them out. Our answer is going to be 2 by 3. Okay, so I want an answer matrix that has 2 rows, 3 columns. Okay, and I'm going to circle them in such a way that I always circle the rows on the left, columns on the right. Okay. So I'm going to begin. I'm just going to do the scratch work down here. Row 1, column 1. It's 8 plus negative 6, which is 2. Row 1, column 2. That's 4 plus negative 6, which is negative 2. Row 1 with column 3. It's negative 16 plus negative 4, negative 20. Okay. Now I'm going to shift to the bottom row and just work my way across the columns. Row 2, column 1. I've got 0 plus 9, which is 9. And row 2, column 2, I've got 0 plus 9, which is another 9. And I've got row 2, column 3, I've got 0 plus 6, which is 6. There's our product. Now to finish this section, I'd like to show you how we can work with matrices on your TI-84 graphing calculator. Let's put this out. Your calculator has a matrix menu, and the matrix menu is right here on the left edge. It's probably, it should be the second feature of this button. It's written right above the word X to the, or the button next to the -1. So it's second matrix. Should pull up a menu like this that has names, math, edit on the top, and then matrices here coming down. Now let's do this problem on the calculator. What I'm going to do is I'm going to type these matrices in to the calculator first. And to do that, I go over to the edit screen. So notice the tabs on the top. I go over to highlight edit, and you can pick any matrix you want. I'm just going to choose to edit matrix 1. And what I need to do, you can see across the top there are sizes. It says 2 by 3 right now is what I have typed in. I want a 2 by 2. So just change the size. Now there are numbers in here. I'm just going to change the numbers to be these numbers. So I type in 4, enter, -2, enter, 0, enter, 3, enter. Now I've got matrix A, this one, typed into the calculator. Now repeat all those steps and let's type in this one. So I hit second matrix, go over to edit. This time drop down to matrix B. Notice I'm highlighted on number 2. So hit edit on that one. Its size is 2 rows, 3 columns, and type in its numbers. 2, 1, -4, and then 3, 3, 2. Okay, once my last matrix is typed in, I need to quit out of the screen. That's important. The quit is above the mode, so hit second mode and it gets back to your main computation screen. Alright, from here, now I need to tell the calculator to compute this matrix times this one. So I go back into where the matrices are stored. Second matrix. And this time we just use the names menu, so we don't have to scroll across the top. We just stay right here. I'm going to do matrix A, just hit enter, it'll pull it out. Times, just use your operation button here, times, and go back into the matrix menu, scroll down, pull out B. So now it's got A times B, which is this one times this one. I can hit enter, and the numbers I have here should be these numbers if we've done our math right, and we have.